The moment I paid $12 million for my mother-in-law's heart transplant, my husband slid a folder across the table. "Thanks for the help," he said, smiling like this was a business deal. "Now you're nothing." I didn't open it. I already knew what it was. Divorce papers. My name is Alina Mercer. I'm 35, and in that moment, sitting in a private hospital suite that still smelled like antiseptic and burnt coffee, I realized something simple. I had just saved his mother's life, and he had been waiting for me to finish. "So this was the plan?" I asked. He leaned back in the chair like he had already won. "The house is in my name," he continued casually. "The car, too. Accounts are clean. You signed everything months ago." Months ago. When he said it was for tax purposes. When he said it would protect us. I nodded slowly. Not because I agreed, because I remembered. Every document, every late-night signature, every time I chose trust over questions.
"You don't have anything left," he added. "Just sign, and we can keep this civil." Civil. I looked at him properly then, really looked, at the man who just turned my loyalty into an exit strategy, and I smiled. Not big, not emotional, just enough, because what he didn't know was that I never moved money without leaving a trail, and this time, the trail didn't lead back to me. He thought the smile meant surrender. It didn't. It meant I finally understood the timing. "I'll read it," I said, sliding the folder a few inches closer without opening it. "Take your time," he replied, checking his watch like he had somewhere better to be. Of course he did. He always did. Meetings, calls, dinners that ran late. I used to think it was an ambition. Now I knew it was distance. "How long have you been planning this?" I asked. He didn't hesitate. "A while. Honest." That almost surprised me. "Before her diagnosis?" I nodded toward the ICU doors. A pause, then a small shrug. "After," he said. "When things got expensive." So that was it. Not just betrayal. Calculation. He waited until I was emotionally locked in, until I would never say no to saving his mother. Then he moved everything out from under me. Clean, quiet, legal. "You could have just asked for help," I said. "I did," he replied. "You gave it. No guilt, no hesitation, just facts." I finally opened the folder. It was all there. Property transfers, asset divisions, signatures I recognized. Mine, placed neatly under language I hadn't fully questioned at the time. He wasn't lying. On paper, I had nothing. He stood up, adjusting his jacket. "Sign it today," he said. "Lawyers are ready." I closed the folder. "I'll sign," I said calmly. That stopped him. Just for a second. Because he expected a fight. What he didn't expect was that I had already started one. Weeks ago. The moment I realized his tax plan didn't make sense. The first time I knew something was off. It wasn't dramatic. No shouting, no obvious lie, just a number that didn't sit right. He had handed me a stack of documents late one night, said it was routine restructuring, tax efficiency, asset protection. I trusted him. I signed. But later, when I was alone, I opened one of the digital copies, and I noticed something small. A transfer amount that didn't match the account I knew we used. It wasn't missing. It was redirected. Subtle. Careful. The kind of move that only stands out if you already understand how money is supposed to flow. I didn't confront him. I didn't ask questions. Because by then, I knew exactly what kind of man I was married to. Instead, I called someone else. Not a friend. Not family. An auditor. Independent. Quiet. Expensive. The kind of person you hire when you don't want answers. You want proof. For 3 weeks, while I was sitting beside his mother's hospital bed, while I was signing consent forms, approving payments, transferring funds, someone else was tracing every dollar, every account, every shell company, every signature, including mine. "Do you trust your husband?" the auditor asked me once. I didn't answer. I didn't need to, because trust wasn't the question anymore. Control was. By the time the surgery was scheduled, I already knew something he didn't. He thought he had taken everything, but he had only taken what I let him move. And what I left behind was worth a lot more than 12 million. The surgery took 8 hours. I stayed the entire time, signed every form, approved every transfer, answered every call from the billing office like it was the only thing that mattered, because in that moment, it did. Whatever he had planned, whatever he had already taken, I wasn't going to let his mother die because of it. That wasn't who I was. But while I was sitting there, waiting for updates, my phone didn't stop. Not messages, notifications, quiet ones, from accounts I didn't recognize, from systems I had set up weeks earlier. The auditor had given me a choice. Do you want to recover it? He asked. Or do you want to understand it first? I chose both. So while the hospital was processing $12 million under my authorization, another process was happening in parallel. Legal, documented, time-stamped. Every account he had moved money into was being flagged. Not frozen, not yet. Just marked. So nothing could disappear without a record. You'll only get one clean shot, the auditor told me. After that, he'll know. I waited. Not hours, not days. For the right moment. The surgery ended at 2:17 a.m. Successful. By morning, he smiled again. Relieved, grateful, convincing. And by afternoon, he slid the divorce papers across the table like everything was already finished. That's when I knew. He thought this was the end. He didn't realize. It was the moment I had been waiting for. Because once he made his move publicly, mine could no longer be stopped. I didn't argue. I didn't ask for anything back. I signed. Right there, in front of him. His smile came back instantly, relieved, satisfied, almost amused. Smart, he said. Dragging this out wouldn't have helped you. I nodded like I agreed, because I needed him comfortable, confident, careless. What about the accounts, Rainier? I asked casually. All handled, he replied. Transferred weeks ago. Of course they were. That was the point. He stood up, already done with me. I'll have my lawyer finalize everything, he added. You'll get a copy. A copy? Like I was just another file. Of course, I said. He walked out of the room without looking back. No hesitation, no doubt. Because in his mind, this was over. I waited exactly 3 minutes. Then I made one call. Do it, I said. No explanation, no second sentence. I didn't need one. On the other end, there was a pause, then a quiet, understood. And just like that, the part he never saw began. Across 3 different institutions, notifications started moving. Not loud, not visible, but irreversible. Compliance flags turned into internal reviews. Internal reviews turned into legal holds. And legal holds turned into something much worse. Not accusations, not yet. Just enough to stop everything from moving. Every account, he thought, was untouchable. Stopped responding. Not frozen, not seized, just locked in place. And for the first time, he was going to feel what it's like to lose control, without understanding why. It took him 4 hours to notice. I know that because his first call came at 6:12 p.m. I didn't answer. The second came 30 seconds later. Then another. By the 5th call, I picked up. What did you do? He asked. No greeting, no control, just pressure. I signed the papers, I said calmly. Isn't that what you wanted? My accounts aren't processing, he snapped. Transfers are failing, cards aren't going through. There it was, the crack. Small, but real. That sounds like a bank issue, I replied. This isn't a bank issue, he said. This is you. I let the silence stretch. Just enough. Did something go wrong with your tax plan? I asked. He exhaled sharply. This isn't funny, Alina. I'm not laughing. Because I wasn't. This wasn't revenge. This was correction. I need you to fix it, he said. Now. Need. Not demand. That was new. I can't fix something I don't control, I replied. Another pause. Longer this time. Because now he was thinking. Replaying. Connecting pieces he should have seen weeks ago. You knew, he said finally. Not a question. A realization. I suspected, I corrected. And then I ended the call. Not dramatically. Just finished. Across the next hour, his situation didn't improve. It got worse. Notifications turned into official emails. Emails turned into calls from institutions. And those calls weren't asking questions anymore. They were informing him that his accounts were under review. Effective immediately. And suddenly, the man who said I had nothing couldn't access anything at all. By the next morning, it wasn't just banks calling him. It was everyone. His lawyer left 2 voicemails. Urgent, different tone. Call me back now. Then his accountant. Then a number he didn't recognize. He answered that one. I know, because 10 minutes later, he called me again. I didn't pick up. He texted. They're saying compliance review. What did you file? I didn't respond, because I hadn't filed anything. Not directly. I had just connected things that were already there. By noon, the situation had escalated. Enhanced due diligence. One email read. Another used stronger language. Potential irregular activity under investigation. That's the thing about money trails. They don't accuse, they reveal. He showed up at the hospital around 1 p.m., same place it started. Different man, no confidence, no smile, just urgency. Alina, he said, stepping into the room like he still belonged there. I didn't stand. I didn't greet him. You need to call them, he said. Whatever you started, stop it. I didn't start anything, I replied. I just made sure it could be seen. He ran a hand through his hair. This can ruin me. I looked at him for a long second, then said something I had been holding back since yesterday. You already ruined something, I said quietly. He didn't argue, didn't deny it. Because now, he finally understood the scale. Not of what I did, but of what he had done, and why it was never going to stay buried. He stayed quiet after that. Not because he accepted it, because he had run out of moves. By the end of the week, everything was out of his hands. Accounts fully restricted, transactions reversed or flagged. Lawyers no longer speaking confidently, just cautiously, carefully, like they were trying to understand how deep this went before saying anything permanent. The audit trail had done exactly what it was supposed to do. It didn't destroy him. It exposed him. And once something like that is visible, it doesn't go away. I didn't chase him, didn't follow up, didn't ask for anything back. Because I didn't need to. What I wanted wasn't money. It was truth and consequences. 2 things he had spent months trying to avoid. A week later, I got the finalized divorce papers. Clean, fast, no disputes, no negotiations. Just done. I signed them without hesitation, not because I lost, because I had nothing left to prove. The house, it was never mine. The car, replaceable. The money, recoverable. But what he lost was different. Reputation, access, control, the things he built his entire life around. I went back to the hospital one last time before discharge. His mother was awake, weak, but alive. She held my hand and whispered, "Thank you." I smiled, not for him, not for what happened, but because I knew something he didn't. Saving her life was the only thing I did for free. Everything else had a cost.